Hey, this is Terry and welcome back to another episode of Flavors in the Heart. Today we're going to make my recipe for chicken marsala. I love chicken marsala because there's just something about those nice home flavors that you get from the cremini mushrooms and the porcini mushrooms as well, and then that marsala wine that gives it an earthy flavor. So what I like to do is I like to take the chicken breast, cut it up into threes, and then it makes it more manageable. And then we're going to pound them out to about a ½ inch, and then I'm going to salt and pepper them. And that salt and pepper is going to lock in that moisture and keep that moist. And then we're going to dredge it in some flour, which then allows it to brown and not to overcook. And then the marsala sauce, which uses the dry marsala and chicken broth, and then along with those mushrooms it just brings out the rich flavor. And then I use a gelatin rather than cornstarch. I find the gelatin actually makes the sauce much smoother and creamier, and no lumps. And then once we get it together, we're going to put the sauce in the pan and then the cutlets in with it and then let it cook. So let's get cooking. So let's give you a rundown of our ingredients. This is an adventurous recipe, but I'm going to tell you, when you make this for your family, friends, and then do simple sides. You know, some steamed vegetables, a rice, and because that chicken marsala is just going to stand out, and you're going to get a lot of compliments on it. So, all right, so let's go with our ingredients here. Alright, so we're going to start out with 2 1/4 cups of dry marsala. We've got the 4 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin, 1 ounce of dried porcini mushrooms, 4 6 to 8 ounce chicken breast, salt, pepper, 2 cups of chicken broth, 3/4 of a cup of flour, and then a 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, excuse me, a quarter cup, yeah, of vegetable oil. And then 3 ounces of pancetta. I like the natural pancetta. It's got some nice fat. Fat to me equals flavor. And then we've got the 1 pound of cremini mushrooms, trimmed and sliced thin. The shallot minced. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. A garlic clove minced. 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. 1 teaspoon of minced fresh oregano. 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter cut into 6 pieces, and then 2 teaspoons of minced parsley. All right, so we're going to take we're going to take 2 cups of the marsala wine. We're going to leave a 1/4 cup later when we add it into the mixture and make the finish off the marsala sauce, and then the gelatin, and then the porcini mushrooms. And we're going to bring them to a medium boil. Excuse me, we're going to bring them to a boil, and then we're going to bring them down to a medium boil. So let's see if I can get this right here. 2, right around there. Okay. And then we're going to put this away for later because this is going to come in at the end. And then we're going to add the porcini mushrooms, and I like to get the dried ones. They're just much easier to work with, and they're very aromatic. So when you get them in the kitchen, they're definitely will add some smell to your kitchen. All right, we're gonna bring that, and then I'm gonna put in the gelatin. And then just stir this around. Get it going. And that's going to reconstitute those mushrooms, and you're going to get just a ton of flavor out of that. So we'll bring those to a boil, and then we'll come on back. Alright, so once the marsala wine and the porcini mushrooms and the gelatin come to a vigorous boil, a rapid boil, then you want to reduce it down and you want to let it simmer, a nice high simmer for about 6 to 8 minutes. And what it's going to do is it's going to reduce in half the size. And then we're going to strain that, and then we're done with the mushrooms because we've taken out all the flavor that's in there, and it's really good flavor. And then return it to the pan. So come on back, we're going to let that finish, and then we're going to get started with the sauce. Alright, so we've drained off our porcini mushrooms, and we're going to put this back in the pan, and we're going to put this on medium-high. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our chicken broth and get this going. And you want to bring it to a high boil, and then you want to let it simmer after that for about 12 to 15 minutes. And that's going to thicken, and it's going to reduce down to about half. So let's get that stir in there. Looks good. And so we're going to multitask now. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our pan. So what I've done is I put about 1.5 teaspoons of oil in there. And you want to use a high burning oil. So vegetable oil is what you're going to need. And then once it starts smoking like that, you're going to turn the heat down to about a medium low. And then we're going to just one by one dredge the chicken cutlets through the flour. And then we'll do about half of them, so we'll do two sets, okay? So let's get that going here. And whenever you, so you're going to shake off the excess flour, and whenever you do this, you put this in here, you want to put it in, and you're going to do it going away from you. So when you lay it in there, you're laying it back that way, because then if there's any splash, it's going to go on your backsplash. So let's get these. So yeah, just 2 to 3 minutes. You're gonna, just eye them. When people say they give this like time, and then they're like, depending on the pans. Like I cooked somewhere else the other day, and their pans were not as good as mine, or where they weren't what I'm used to. And so things took a little bit longer. So you can always just pull them up and check them. And again, you're not trying to get these cooked all the way. You just want to get a nice brown coat, because when the sauce is done, we're going to put the chicken back in there and then nestle it in and get all those juices and make it nice and delicious. And I'm actually looking forward to this tonight. I haven't had chicken marsala, I want to say probably like 4 years. So it's something that is enjoyable. And then in the meantime, I'm checking on my sauce here and making sure that it's coming to a boil. The chicken broth takes a little bit longer to bring to a boil. Alright, now we're going to add in our pancetta. And so there are just a lot of brown bits in the bottom of that. So I've got a fresh spoon now, and you're going to do this for about 4 minutes and just let it simmer and spread it around so it's all even. And then as you watch it, you see the fat in there is starting to render and it's spreading out on the pan. Give it about 30 seconds and then get in there and scrub around and get those brown bits out. Alright, we're going to let that brown for about 2.5 minutes. And then we'll move forward. All right, so once the pancetta is brown, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick in the cremini mushrooms, and they're going to release the moisture. So you're going to turn your heat up to medium-high, and then they're going to just shrink down. So there we go. Let's get this other batch in here. I could have cut these a little thinner, I guess. Yep, just let them sit there, and then they will slowly go down, and next thing you know, you'll see and you're like, oh, that's what I saw in the restaurant. One of the things that I love about this recipe is that most of the time when I've had chicken marsala, the chicken tends to be dry. When you salt and pepper that and you let it sit, so I like to do my chicken first, cut it up into threes, and then salt and pepper it, it locks in that moisture. And as I was pulling out the pan, I had pressed it with the tongs, and the juices were just flowing out of that. So it's going to be nice and juicy. Alright, so the mushrooms have reduced down. As you remember when I put them in, they were covering over the top. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to take a slotted spoon, and we're going to get those out of the pan. And what we want to do is to keep that liquid in there. So just be gentle with them. I like to keep the shape of the mushrooms. That's the, you know, when you get your chicken marsala, it's like you see those beautiful mushrooms on there. And just gorgeous. Mixed with that pancetta, and I'm in heaven. It's interesting because people always ask me, you know, what's your favorite country that you like to cook, your favorite cuisine? And I don't necessarily have a favorite, although I seem to always go to Italian. There just seems to be so many things that you can do with Italian food, and other cuisines as well. I mean, you know, if you explore, you know, there's just something about, you know, all of them. I mean, I just recently was looking into the Vietnamese, and oh, there's just so many flavors there, and it's gorgeous. All right, so now we're going to put in this the minced shallot. Get that in there. Toss that around. That's going to be for about 1 minute, and then we're going to put in the garlic and the tomato sauce. Excuse me, the tomato paste. Turn my pan back on. There we go. Alright, we're going to add our tomato paste. We're going to bring it down a little bit, and then we're going to add our garlic to this. Get that mixed around. And then I'm going to add my reduced sauce here. Once I get my garlic tossed around here, there it is. Now it's ready to get this. So we're going to put this in there. There we go. This is all going to melt together, and then we're going to add the oregano to this. Get this mixed together here. Okay, and then once we get that together, we're going to add that 1/4 cup of dry Marsala that we had over there. And that's just going to be a concentrate is what it is of that Marsala wine. And then we're going to give our citric acid here, our acid, which is the lemon. And this is 2 tablespoons, but I like to do it fresh. And I hope I got all the seeds out. I think I did. Alright, so we're going to let this simmer for a couple of minutes, and then come on back, and we're going to get that the chicken cutlets in there and let it all marinate together. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to fit all of this chicken into that pan, and then the difficult part of this is that when you've got, you know, you should have 6 cutlets. I've got probably 10 here. So you're going to cook them for about 3 minutes on one side and then flip them over. So when you have a lot of them, you just got to move things around. But let's get these in there so they start marinating with that sauce. Alright, so we're going to come back and we're going to flip these. See how I do here. See, I have the advantage because you can't see over my shoulder. Alright, so we're at the 3-minute mark. I'm going to turn off the heat, and then we're going to plate these chicken cutlets. Over a little closer. Oh, this is just smelling good. Oh, one of my chicken cutlets just fell apart. It was that tender. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick our butter in, and just going to whisk it around gently, let it get in there and emulsify and do what it does best. Get it all. There we go. All right, we're going to add our porcini and pancetta. All right, we're going to add our mushrooms in pancetta back in here. Mix that around. Kind of liked it just to settle in there and not like be pushy about it, but let the sauce just take in the mushrooms and the pancetta. And oh yeah, this is just looking good. If you see it light in certain areas, that's because the butter has not mixed in with it, so go ahead and mix it around. And then we're going to add in our parsley. All right, come on back, and we're going to plate this up and have a bite. All right, so let's get a bite of this and see what we've got. Gotta make sure you get a mushroom in there with some pancetta on it. The flavors are just, to me, remind me of home. Those porcini mushrooms really add a depth to it, and then you've got the Marsala wine, and it just all comes together at the end. Like I said, it is not the easiest dish, but you will be very happy when you're done. If you plan it out, it can take about 30 to 40 minutes, and you'll be very happy, and someone will be asking you for the recipe, or they'll be asking you to make it again. So thank you for joining me here at Flavors in the Heart, and let's get cooking.